It was all great in Umatu, as a newcomer decided to do a semi-decent video that did pretty well. But then, when the moment that he least, he vanished.
I hate this title. Anyway, Tokai Teio Wit. I'm actually confused about why there's so few people talking about this card. Tokai Teio Wit SSR is a card that is coming out after Agnes Tachyon, and it is possible that we get free pulls for her. But don't quote me on that. Unless I'm right. Then give me credit. Now let's talk about fine motion for a minute or so. One of the main reasons why she's one of the queens of wit meta is because she offers the following: one of the highest friendship bonuses at 35, initial wit of 35, training effectiveness of 15, race bonuses of 10, the last one making her great for track blazer, may it rest in peace. Now, how does Teio fare against fine motion? Not great. Teio comes with no initial wit, slightly lower friendship bonus at 30%, a difference of 5% with fine motion, but her training effectiveness reaches up to 20, beating fine motion in that regard. Under one caveat though. Her training effectiveness comes from her unique, which is tied to the total bond level of your support cards. What this means, in practice, is that her bonus will be most effective mid to late career because it is contingent on how many card bonds you can maximize. Now sure, you could argue that fine motion having just one wit bonus is worse than the 2 wit bonus that Teio gives, but when you put it in practice, her superior 5% training effectiveness and 1 extra wit bonus would have to make up for the turns where you have no training effectiveness and fine motion did, and the initial wit that fine motion gives. Only then she would give you some return on investment. Look, my point isn't that she's terrible, my point is that fine motion is better. Teio does however come with a hint level 2 and frequency of 40, so she could be useful for parent card for pace chasers. Okay, so Teio does not do well against fine motion, but what about Mr. CV, the other meta wit card? Yeah, she's not great either. When both of these cards are on max limit break, they have the same race bonus, friendship bonus, hint levels, and frequency, but Teio does win in training effectiveness. Kind of. Again, her unique is based off of support bond level, so it will give you much higher training effectiveness mid to late career, depending on how fast you can increase your bond levels with your other cards. Teio does come with a speed bonus of 1, but if you're training somebody who has speed stat bonuses, then I believe this isn't the win Teio is looking for, especially since, right now, we're mostly running 3 speed cards in our decks, and worse yet, Mr. CV has an extra wit bonus and skill bonus at bond 80 and higher specialty priority. So she's not as good as Mr. CV, albeit by a little bit, but you can still get her for 400 pulls and maybe 1 crystal. You know, in retrospect, I can see why nobody was talking about this card. Okay, so she's not comparable to fine motion or Mr. CV, but what about nice nature? She's pretty meta currently, right? Well, yes. They both have the same specialty priority, but Teio does have better friendship bonus by 5% and a speed bonus. But nice nature has a more consistent training effectiveness bonus than Teio's, and this is because Teio's is contingent on bond level. Teio does seem to be better in a more generalist sense than nice nature, but Natty is going to be a best in slot for late surgers mains for a very long time, as her gold skill on your left is a phenomenal skill for late surgers. So because of this, I see these two as more complements rather than replacements, assuming of course you are in a late surge career, but within that context I could only recommend Teio as a borrow instead of a card that you really must pull. So the question remains, what's the use for Teio? Currently the only card that gives you Professor Curvature, a phenomenal skill by the way, is Kita-san Black. In the case that you do not have her, and you are planning to perma-borrow Tachyon, you could use Teio as an alternative way to get Professor of Curves. Also, if you have Kita-san the Uma, this could be a way to give her Professor of Arcs. Finally, Teio also has synchronicity with El Condor Pasa SSR, because ECP, and I'm going to call it that because frankly my accent is terrible, gives you either check or teacher of semicircles. And yes, I did check almost all the cards of the future releases all the way to May of next year for this card. Yes, this is my 4th cup of coffee, how could you tell? But casual, I hear you say, once Major Ramona releases, it isn't likely that we will only run 1 wit card. What if Teio is a complement? Well, dear viewer, I should have known you were this smart and good looking. Please subscribe. Front runners will most likely be running Mimi Bourbon SSR Wit until Mimi Bourbon SSR Wit releases. The second one will come with unshakable stance, and while I do think that some people will use her in non-front runner UMAs because of that, this will be the wit card for front runners, because of how important golden groundwork will be, particularly for front runners. Late surgers are going to have nice nature as a main late surger wit card until their intact releases in 2028. But even then, you should try to run them in unison as independents, and on your left make for a spectacular combination of skills for late surgers. And closers will stay with Mr. CV as a main card, as she has excellent bonuses, excellent golden skill, and should also consider running her with a sweep torso that's a borrow, as sweep torso with SSR release date is a rather difficult one. And for us space chasers, we will have Major McQueen in July of 2027 of next year, albeit we could still use fine motion until then. So depending on your style, you will likely be running Major Ramono and one of these cards alongside her. Look, my point isn't to say you should save your carrots because Mihono Bourbon Ultra Instinct comes out in 11 years. My point is to ground you so you can know what to expect and what to pull for. But on a side note, she's seriously aura farming on that picture. Alright, that's really it about Teio. I saw Professor Curvature and that we might be getting free pulls for her, and I freaked out. I rewrote this script about 5 times in 6 days. I had to study future cards, compositions, metas, and so on. She's not better than Oguri Cap Wit, not better than Ergru Wit, Sweeptosha Wit, not even Kopano Riki. Yes, I went that far ahead. What's that? You want to know about the Twin Turbo Guts card? It's okay in a few things. I'll give it a B and a borrow. Twin Turbo Guts SSR comes with a golden skill giving it 1000%, which increases your frontrunner's target speed by 0.45 for 2.7 seconds. Now, this all sounds well and good, but this skill triggers at the first part of the mid-race, and while 0.45 target speed is insane, it comes at the cost of your stamina as it drains it by 0.04. So outside of runaways, I do not see a use for this skill. It triggers while you still have your speed cap on, it lasts too little to give you carryover speed, and it drains your stamina. F tier. Now, on the bright side, she does come with specialty priority of 65, 1 power bonus, 2 speed power, and 1 skill point. So her bonuses are actually phenomenal. Better yet, her unique can make her friendship bonus of 25 scale all the way to 40, which I don't think I have to say is pretty nuts. So, terrible golden unique, excellent bonuses, and okay skills. But what about how you get the golden skill? Well, now for the unks sitting next to me, I'm amongst my people, you will probably remember back in the day that we had Twin Turbo Speed SSR in order to get taking the lead. Luckily, someone at Side Games that didn't hate humanity intervened and gave us Spooky Mimi Bourbon Wit. The reason I say this is because Twin Turbo not only did it have mediocre bonuses, not only did she have the audacity to ask you to max limit breaker to even begin to be decent, but she had the audacity to give you a 50% chance to continue her chain event. Yes, you heard that correctly. You think Machikane Fukukitaru is high rolling?
Machikane Fukukitaru.
Nice. Don't make me laugh. The only selling point of this card was to get her golden skill, as she was the only card with it, and they made the intro chain event into a 50% chance. You wanna know the worst part? I'm lying to you, viewer. Because every single solitary decision behind that chain had a 50% chance, meaning that because of the fundamentals of statistics, you would have a 12.5% chance of getting taken the lead, meaning that the other 87.5% of the time you would fail the chain. During that time, we only had 3 borrows per day, by the way, meaning that if you were preparing a front runner for the champions meet, only one of them would have taken the lead by the 4th day, and that is assuming that you even had the required stat caps, because while weight, power, and stamina used to have much lower requirements, speed never went below 1200. Okay, Clearly I have some unresolved trauma with this car. The point is that they try to do this car but with some decorum for human rights. Her first event can end with you just getting playtime is over, and no, it's not the cheaper version of 1000% output. If you get playtimes over, the chain will end and it's a 50-50% chance. However, if you fail to continue her second event chain, you can still get 1000%. Only you will be taxed IRS style minus 20 energy. Look, it's not ideal because it debuffs your energy, but at least the probability locks at 50%. Well, this is a bit anticlimactic. That was a rather long analysis, and yet here we are, with a Burrow and an okay-ish card. Well, at least we know how these cards perform, and we don't have to freak out if we actually get the free pulls. On a brighter note, I'm a bit past my first month of this YouTube thing, and I gotta say, I actually kinda like it. The feedback has been great from you all, helping me be less sloppy in my analysis, like the whole claw forward thing. I genuinely do appreciate it, and the issues with the microphone and the music volume, getting that feedback, it means the world to me, because it helps me get better at this. And I want to thank everybody who subscribed, and I'm very happy if my unfunny bot at least got a few chuckles out of y'all. I had a few things to take care of for the last couple of days, but now I should be able to upload with a little bit more frequency. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the feedback and the views and the comments. Like, genuinely, it helps me get better. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.